The night it began, the moon refused to shine. The wind carried whispers through the palm trees, and the shadows on the ground moved even when no one walked there. People in the village of Okara said it was a bad sign, an omen that the shadow weaver was awake again. In the mythology of the Yoruba people of West Africa, there's an old legend about a mysterious woman who could weave people's shadows like cloth, twisting them into blessings or curses. They called her Asaki, the shadow weaver. It was said that whoever caught her attention would never live the same again. Ao, a young girl with curious eyes and a restless heart, didn't believe in such stories. She was an apprentice under Baba Ifagbemi, the old diviner who read destinies through cowrie shells. One evening, while fetching water from the stream, Ao noticed something strange. Her shadow didn't follow her movements. It stretched long and thin across the water, pointing toward the forest where no light reached. She froze. Then the shadow whispered her name. That night, Ao couldn't sleep. Her shadow moved across the wall, weaving shapes of faces she'd never seen before, faces that seemed to be crying. The next day, she told Baba Ifagbemi what she saw. The old man's hands trembled. "The shadow weaver has chosen you," he said quietly. "You can see what others cannot. But remember, child, power from the dark is never given for free." Confused and afraid, Ao went back to the forest where the shadow had first spoken. Deep inside, where even the crickets were silent, she met her, the shadow weaver. Her skin shimmered like black silk, and her eyes were two tiny moons. Around her, shadows floated like threads in the air. "You see me," the woman said in a voice that felt like the wind inside a cave. "Few do. Your village hides its sins well, but shadows never forget." The shadow weaver showed Ao visions, how the elders had once betrayed their ancestors, selling sacred land for gold. She showed her how the darkness beneath the village had grown hungry, feeding on lies and fear. Ao begged her to stop, but the weaver smiled. "To weave fate, you must see the threads. Even the ugly ones." From that night, Ao's powers grew. She could speak to shadows, ask them to reveal secrets, and even bend them to protect the weak. But with each use, her own shadow grew darker and heavier, whispering in voices that weren't hers. When the truth of the elders' betrayal finally came out, the village turned on Ao, calling her a witch. They said she brought curses and bad dreams. Even Baba Ifagbemi feared her now. Heartbroken, Ao ran back into the forest, where the shadow weaver was waiting. "You see," the weaver said softly. "Light fears what it cannot control. You can return to them and live in their lies, or stay, and learn to weave truth into their fate." Ao looked down. Her shadow was no longer her own, it was alive, breathing, pulsing with power. She took the weaver's hand. From that night onward, no one ever saw Ao again. But sometimes, when the moon hides and the night feels too quiet, villagers say they see two shadows walking across the trees, one teaching, one learning. And if you listen closely, you might hear a voice whisper. Every shadow has a story. Be careful whose you step on. Moral: power is not always evil, and darkness is not always the enemy. Sometimes, what we fear in the shadows is the truth we are too afraid to face.